All right, we should be good again. I'm going to throw up the placeholder slide for just the next 3 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're good.
How are you? Okay. All right, everybody. Hello. The new VTC that Sergeant Ansman set up. Hopefully, this is getting out. I think, Shawn, if you're...
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Can you click on my picture to get it to come up?
I have already.
Okay.
But oddly enough, over in the YouTube, I'm not seeing that reflect.
Yeah, as I'm looking at the conference room, all I'm seeing in the middle is a brown circle with a monitor in the middle.
Yes, that's what I see on the YouTube. So
if you click on my picture, will it come up?
So I've done that on my screen, my computer screen. It's showing you. It's showing you. Oh wait, okay. So hold on. Let me do this.
Yeah, I think if you stop the screen sharing or everybody stops screen sharing, then that will allow the video to show.
Can someone check the YouTube? Is it good now?
All right, I'm looking at the YouTube on my camera and it looks like it's up. So okay. All right, today I think the big thing I want to talk about everybody with is the leave policy. I think there's still kind of a lot of questions that are out there on it. Right now, just to kind of recap what we put out yesterday, your local leave area is defined as 350 miles from JBA. So anytime you're within that area and you're not on duty, you're not required to take leave. If you need to miss duty, then you could go within that 350-mile range on local leave. Local leave does not require any ETP. So if you want to take local leave, you're going to stay within 350 miles, then all you have to do is submit normal leave, and you should be able to do that. If you need to go between 350 miles and 8 hours, Colonel Sunkist will be willing to entertain a kind of like a one-off waiver to the local and define the local policy or her kind of restricted one, and kind of waive her restricted and allow it to go to what I've said is local area, which is 8 hours. So if you fall in that kind of narrow circle around the base, and it's important for you to get in there, then contact me and we can talk to the group commander or the wing commander about allowing you to go there as a definite, defined as a local leave. Anything outside of those situations, then it's an ETP. And so ETPs are approved on humanitarian or essential requirements. And I think right now the ETPs that we've been able to get through, they all kind of have a compelling case. It has to do with children or close relatives or death in the family, all those kinds of things. Those have gotten through the 18th Air Force. But right now, the ETP process is going to get a little more difficult because Colonel Sunkist, General Select Sunkist is going out. A colonel's coming in, which means it definitely won't be held at the wing. The 18th Air Force deputy is changing out and being replaced by a colonel, which means it can't go to him. So now all the ETPs are going to go to Major General Barrett. So I don't know how many people are in the 18th Air Force, 30,000 or something. So if you imagine how many ETPs get to him every single day, it's going to be a little bit slower to get those done. So what the 18th Air Force is requesting is 5 business days for an ETP to get turned around for a non-emergency. If it's an emergency and you must leave tonight or you must leave tomorrow, we can kind of put that on the request. But anything short of an emergency, it's not going to just immediately get turned around. It's probably going to be about a 5-day trial. That's what their goal is going to be. But I imagine that there's just going to be a little bit of difficulty as we try to make these ETPs work at that level. The hope is that eventually the ETP process gets pushed down to the wing level. But right now it has to go to the first general in the chain. So that's what we're going to be working with. That, you know, we'll basically execute the same system we've been, which is to get your ETP to the shirt or to the execs, and both. We'll work those and then submit them up through group for a head nod, and then to the wing commander for a decision to push up to the 18th Air Force or not. And all this is still being condition based, means I don't have a day for you when that changes. I mean, maybe by the time we hang up, the leave policy has changed. Maybe it doesn't change for weeks. So I you know, I wish I had better information for you on it, but right now I don't. And so one of the big reasons this call is important today is for you to get your questions to me, and I'll even do, you know, let's work through some of the what ifs on it too. That's fine. I think we can do that together, and I don't have a problem with that. So that was really what the really big thing that I wanted to get out was the next thing, and I'll let kind of the questions come in. I wanted to get to was the wing commander change. You know, the wing commanders change command this week. The group commander changed last week. So you know, I'll be spending a decent amount of time with the new commanders, kind of doing like the immersions. The new wing commander will be in the seat. I guess Thursday, and then he'll be in the building on next Wednesday. And what our plan for that immersion is really to walk him through the squadron. I owe a itinerary for that up to the group tomorrow, but basically we'll greet him at the door, walk him through the kitchen, walk him through the SOC, fishbowl, 99 SOC, come upstairs, talk about the size of the building, talk about the kitchen and what we want to do next, and just give him really a wave top. Here's what we do at the 1st and the 99th, and then you know, come back, and then wrap up in the heritage room and head out. And then I'm sure we'll be sitting down and doing some immersions with them as, you know, the topics come up. Okay, so I'm going to turn to the questions now. So start those coming. I'll work from top to bottom in the CC room, or in the room. If you can, please put your questions. I'm looking through YouTube here. I don't see anything here. Put your questions up on the 1AS CC call 17 June, and I'll answer them from top to bottom. So the first one I see is from Doug Galmish. It says, sir, with the 1AS shuttle not being planned for upcoming July egress, are we allowed to drive down to Miami if we do not want to fly commercial? Okay, well, maybe I'll address that one first. So Anna answers, it's based on the JTR. If it's cheaper to drive than fly, then AO could approve. Yeah, so if you want to drive, yeah, I'm not going to say no. I think you definitely need to work it out with the scheduler, because it will take you off the schedule for a little bit longer time. Because it's not a one-day trip to Miami. That's like it's more like 600 miles or something. I think 700 miles.
And
so
you need to get there in a day, and everything else will be leave.
Yeah. So what will happen is if you need to take, so if you want to drive down, I guess there's two things that you'll have to accomplish. One is you have to do a cost comparison worksheet, and you'll be reimbursed for what it would have cost for you to fly there. And the second is you'll have to take a day of leave. But then,
ETP,
is that an ETP?
probably. And he's one of those two.
But you already need an ETP to go to Miami for training anyway.
Right. So I think maybe if that's already wrapped up, then that's good. But if he goes anywhere else,
Yeah.
which is I think is what he was planning on doing.
Yeah. So maybe the question is, you know, if you want to go down because you want to take leave en route definitely requires an ETP, and we have to like say that you're taking leave en route. Now we got one of those approved, but it was in conjunction with the PCS, and it was to keep a family together as they made their move out. If you want to take leave en route, that's a little tougher. But I feel like I kind of owe an answer on this actually, because if you want to drive in order to mitigate your exposure at an airport and mitigate your exposure to, and we feel like it's a safer way to get you down there, My feeling is that it's probably not a safer way to get you down because of the likelihood of a traffic accident resulting in serious harm or death is higher than one contracting the disease on a plane and then that disease resulting in a serious illness or death. So it's probably still safer to fly even right now. But if you want to drive in order to reduce your risk of contracting COVID, maybe what we could do is you wouldn't I would order you, this is a viable way to go, and then we wouldn't have to do a cost comparison because I'm telling you to drive down there. Let me in the shirt work this one. This is a really, really good question. I think maybe it's a viable option for us to get people back and forth from Miami. If I'm not going to run the shuttle, which I can't run the shuttle forever and ever. We can't do it, especially because we've loaded up so much training, and it's not like organized in tiny little batches. So like this June, we said we're going to put all the training in these batches, and we can fly on the front and back. But in July, it's more like I have people going down all month long at different times, so I can't run the shuttle. Let me in the shirt take that one for action, Doug. I think it's a great question. All right. But if the question is you want to do it in order to take leave en route because you want to spend a couple of days with family who are in Atlanta, which is outside 350 miles, I'm pretty sure. Let's say Orlando, just to be sure. Okay, so you want to take leave with spend a couple of days. That's going to be an ETP, and that's a request for leave for ETP. And if we don't have a really compelling reason for the leave, then there's not much I can do. I don't think it's not. It's just it won't rise to get into ETP. All right, and also Doug says I felt that working from home has been a success, and with space in our squadron at a premium before the pandemic, do you see us instituting any measures permanently, like a staggered schedule when not flying? I think, this is one of the things that Colonel Dieselhorst and I are going to talk to the wing commander about. Is I think right now there's about 400 people assigned to 1658, and there's obviously not office space for 400 people here. So I think we're going to be kind of doing these COVID ops for a pretty long time. And if a lot of times I've talked about crawl, walk, and we're never going to get to run. I think for walk here, it's the most aggressive kind of that I'm thinking in my head is like, at some point, if we need to do it, we have people in, each one of the shops for from say 9 to 3 every single day. Kind of a normal office is manned on some kind of normal schedule or predictable schedule. But I don't really see a reason, and maybe the flight commanders and flight chiefs can talk me into something else, but at this point I don't see a reason to man at a heavier load than that. So I think as long as the COVID-19 is going on anyway, I don't see us getting to a more aggressive manning posture than say like min-manning for the holidays. At this point, that's about all the most aggressive kind of manning that I would see us undertaking. Although for like on-the-job training or as people swap over jobs, maybe that bumps up a little bit, but not to the point that we ever challenge the space that we have available in the squadron. That's kind of where I'm at. But after the pandemic's over and we still face, because I think the pandemic will end before the building challenges do. So after that, then I kind of anticipate that these kind of like telecommuting options don't just go away. I think we institute these in, and they're managed by the flight chiefs and the flight commanders, and they just make sure that they're getting their business done. And part of what you do is telecommute. I don't have a problem with that. But maybe that's to be determined. But that's kind of my thinking. Okay. Tucker said he had some difficulties getting on the YouTubes. 350 miles is as the crow flies distance. So if it's a bit of a circuitous route to get there, I'm pretty sure. Did the policy memos on
they emailed it out. I just have to, read it.
Well, I'm looking at it. So Stuart's gonna double check me and see if he has a copy of it, but I think it's 350 miles as the crow flies. But we'll come back to that. Okay. Colby says, is there a firm policy on leave, post-leave rest and test? Is it only if you are away from your house? It may affect how many people can go on leave. Yeah. So the rest and test on an 8-day, maybe we're getting a little bit away from, it's still my policy. If especially if on official travel, you're resting, you come back, we put you on a rest and test. But if we ever need to mitigate you off the list. I will say this. Okay, I think if you're staying at someone's house, then you probably need to go on a rest and test. If you're going into other people's, so say you go on local leave and you go to your Aunt Mary's house, you can spend a day or two there in their house, and then you come back home, and it's in New Jersey. It behooves us to put you on an 8-day rest and test. If you stayed at a hotel and never talked to the front desk and checked in via your phone, and you were always outside and never really, got into a COVID environment, potential COVID environment, then we probably don't need to do a rest and test. And that's kind of a crappy policy. It's not really a policy. It's leaving a lot to the member to kind of like self-identify. The reason I think we stick to it with official travel is because on official travel, it's like you're in a crew bus, you're on the plane. There's a little bit more out of your control. So I would say if you go on leave and your plans include staying in someone's house, I'd like you to go on a rest and test. If you're on local leave and you stay at a hotel and you've never put yourself in a COVID environment, anything more than you would in your day-to-day life, I don't think it's required. So this is why it's important to socialize your social plan, and make sure you do that with your supervisor before you RON away from your house. And here's what I'll ask. If you RON away from your house, I want you to talk about it with your supervisor and make a determination about whether or not that should generate a rest and test. And then you'll probably be one of the first people to be triaged off a list. If that's too, and schedulers, ops, or anybody else in the scheduling shop, if that's too mushy, and maybe we can save it too for the staff meeting. If that's too mushy, let me know and I'll put something more firm out as people start moving around more. All right, Doug said it's not a 1-day trip. Yeah, it's definitely not. It's a 16-hour drive. Yeah, I think so too. It would be leave en route, purely a mitigation question. All right, Doug, we owe you an answer on that. I want to make sure that the 99th is of the same mind of how we do that. So it makes to reduce some of the question back, how we want to do that. But I think maybe it would kind of follow, I think if you're gonna drive your own car, you're gonna stay in a hotel, you're not really putting yourself at that much more of a risk than you would sitting in Miami. So let me and the shirt take that for action. I will get my goal is to get you an answer by Friday, because I'll bring it up at small group, which I have with the group commander on Friday. So I will try to get you an answer in 2 days. All right. Alexander Miller says, what if family is coming from out of state to visit us in our home? That's a good question. I hope that I would say, hopefully your family is putting in you're asking your family to mitigate the chances of them bringing COVID into your house. I would say the problem is, people are going to live their life, and I'm going to decimate the schedule with preventative rest and tests. for all the kinds of things. You know, and the difficult thing is like, how do I perfectly quantify what risk you're facing from COVID? I would say if you have family coming from out of state to come visit you in your home, my ask is that you would talk with them before they come, and make sure that they're taking steps before they come visit you in your home, that they wouldn't be bringing COVID into your house, and then you wouldn't then be bringing it into the squadron. But that's some of that. I mean, it's to write a policy that would encompass that, I think is nearly impossible. Part of the problem is like, how long are they staying? Where are they coming from? Did they come from a green state to now Maryland, which is a green state, but Virginia is a red state? I mean, there's so many variables there that I just have to rely on you and everybody else making good decisions and imploring the people coming to visit you to do the same. So I wouldn't say that would mandate that. If there's nothing you can do to mitigate it, talk with your again. I think maybe this is a discussion for you and your supervisor, to decide whether that it's a good idea for you to have Aunt Mary come from New Jersey, spend a night, at your house and go back home. Or are there steps that you can take, within your house to mitigate the risk? Can they stay in the basement, use the basement bathroom, and you guys spend all your time outside? I don't know if that really helps that much or not, but so I don't have a perfect answer for you. Maybe the answer is it will not automatically trigger an 8-day resting test if someone comes visit from out of state to your house. And I know that doesn't make perfect sense, but I think that's about as good as I can answer. If you have any other, if you have a clarifying question to that, Alexander, please feel free to ask. All right, Mike attached the 89th Air Wing COVID conditions base.
I had it brought up.
What does it say? Is it 350 driving?
It doesn't say specific driving.
Okay.
So I think
It did. Hey, sir, it does say, it says a 350-mile radius. So that is as the crows fly. It's in the second paragraph. I posted the COVID-19 conditions-based travel version 2 is in the 1AS channel right now.
Yeah,
okay, perfect.
It's a radius.
Good. Yep. There you go. Radius. So you got to drive around a mountain to get there, I guess, and it's 450 miles. That's fine as long as it's 350 as the crow flies.
Right.
Cool. Good question. All right. For the current crawl phase we're in, what type of footprint do you want to see in 1658? Other than COVID testing and mission planning, when can people come to the building? Okay. So remember at the very beginning, I was like, I don't care how crappy your VPN is. We just got to suffer through it. I think if you need to come to the building in order to dramatically increase the efficiency or effectiveness of your work, I'm okay with you coming here to do that. But if you have nothing to do, please don't do it here. If you need to come and plug your computer in to get it updated, if you need to get some waiver pushed forward in GTIMS and you just can't get the VPN to work at home and it makes sense to come here. If you can do that during times where the building's not busy, that's great. If you need to do OJT, I think maybe one of the more aggressive cutouts I'm willing to make an allowance for is OJT. So, if you're swapping jobs with someone, that can be really hard to do and you can't get it done effectively, telecommute, then come in, wear masks, try to stay 6 feet apart and get it done.
And your uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is, a couple posts ago, we kind of talked about what makes sense when you come into 1658. It's, are you here on a Saturday at 6 o'clock? Do you need to be in the uniform? Probably not. Are you here just to pick something up while you're on local leave and you need to, grab it and go? Do you need to come in uniform? Probably not. But if you're here doing work at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, then you should be in uniform. So I think maybe that's where it's at. So crawl phase, if you really need to come in to increase the effectiveness or efficiency of the work you're doing, come on in and do it. And then obviously, if you're doing mission related work that has to get done here and COVID testing that has to get done here, then come do that. But if you're doing something other than that, I'd avoid Monday and Friday mornings. The building is busiest during that period of time. Okay. Look for any more questions. I'm sure that's all clear as mud, unfortunately. All right, let me look at YouTube and see if there's anything there. Okay. All right, I'll give a couple seconds for anyone to start writing a question, and I'll see if it pops up. Otherwise, we'll transition. This one was a little quicker than normal. We'll transition to the staff meeting.
So I did have a text in regards to the really compelling reasons for ETPs. From some of the conversations we've been having is sending an ETP for, not for just for whatever reason, but for just because, like I just want to go on leave. What is the barrier, or what's the line that's drawn when it comes to it being compelling or not?
Yeah.
Because I think that some of the messaging that we've had is just send up the ETP, and if it gets approved, then it gets approved. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah. The stuff that always makes it through are like obvious, obviously something that would bring you home from a deployment. You don't even need to wait for like an official approval on an ETP, right? That's like the obvious, you're going home. And both the group commander and I are willing to take, whatever may come if it ever got disapproved, but it won't. The very end of the other end of the spectrum is like, I just really want to go on vacation. I just really want to take leave, or I want to go to Six Flags with my family. That's like, well, one, I don't know if I want you to go into Six Flags, but that's the other end, and that's probably not going to get approved. Compelling cases are like something that can I can like put a narrative in, kind of like a pull on the heartstrings a little bit. Right now I think, so this thing kind of moves, right? Like it started out way over here, like only something that would get you off deployment, and we kind of pulled it this way. I think so some of the more like further this way, further left stories we've had are gotten approved where like, hey, our family is traveling together, we need an exception to policy. That one works, right? One was I have an ill grandparent, they're on a mental decline, we all want to get together and kind of like, as they're healthy, they're not dying, they won't be dead soon, but they're clearly kind of declining, and we all want to get together one last time to like have one more lucid kind of, that one I was like, I don't know for sure if that one will get approved or not. That one got approved, but that one did take a direct phone call, or 18th Air Force didn't want to approve that, and the wing commander picked up the phone and talked to the 18th Air Force commander and said, you need to approve this one. So that's kind of where we're at, I would say. Visiting a child you haven't seen, visiting a spouse you haven't seen, those can, I feel like, we put those up. I think we're waiting to hear back about the spouse one. But I think that's where, that's where it's at. I mean, it's something that involves family, that's helping people like access a resiliency network, kind of address like psychological needs, those kinds of things. I think that's where the bubble's at right now. Wanting to go to like the Jersey Shore, because every single July the family gets together and rents a house on the Jersey Shore, and this is the time they do it. That's probably not going to get approved unless Aunt Mary, again, I guess she's from Jersey, unless Aunt Mary's like on decline or was an important part of your childhood, something like that. But if you're somewhere close to that compelling case, then sometimes it's like we know it when we see it, and there's some magic that we can work. So if you're kind of close to that or in doubt, if you're in doubt, give a phone call to the shirt or the execs or me, and we can kind of talk through it. And I can give you, I'll try to give you as a realistic assessment as possible. The 99th had one person who wanted to go to a retirement ceremony for their dad, who had flown for like 30 years or something for Delta, and it was this big flight, and had this big thing, and that was denied because it was just didn't pull at the heartstrings enough, so, they're not all getting approved. So, I'll try to give like my best, I'll try to give my best guess. And if we think it's close, then we'll make it as compelling as possible and then we'll push it forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yep.
So, given that the line with that is murky and gray, right? And where is the delineation? And we don't really know what they won't approve until we try. I didn't want to discourage anyone from applying for an ETP because I'm not even sure exactly where that heartstring line lies, right? If someone says, I want to go to this place with my family, and if I don't, it will affect me negatively mentally, right? I was okay with them submitting an ETP for that and then gauging it. I didn't want to discourage anybody from giving it a shot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think so. Especially if you work with your supervisor, it's not a ton. I don't want the execs to be like, and the shirt to be overloaded with like lots and lots of work. But if you have the capacity to like get the template, it's widely available. Take the half hour or hour, whatever it takes to fill out that template, have it ready. And then sometimes it's nice for me to have those in the quiver. So if it's not an emergency and you know what you want next, and then I sense or we sense kind of an opening, and it's something that I can that we feel like we can kind of wedge in there and make happen. And we feel like, and the other component too is like, what's the risk, kind of the COVID risk too, and how well do we think that's mitigated? But if we think all that kind of lines up and makes sense, then maybe if we have a quiver of ETPs ready, we can push them in. Then we can do that too. So. But I do always follow, the best way to undermine your influence is to overplay your hand. So if all of my ETPs look like they're copy and pasted and boilerplate and kind of BS, then that one that I could have got through maybe won't, because it'll be thrown in the 1AS like they're full of crap pile. So I do try to like put a little bit of strategy into the ones that we push up. My goal is that I push up 10 and one gets rejected, because that means, that's probably about a 10% rejection rate. It probably means that we're pushing we're pushing the right amount and not too much. But if I get a 50% rejection rate, that means that we're screwing it up. If I have a 0% rejection rate, then maybe we're not being quite aggressive enough in getting it, and what ETPs are going to get through. We probably left a little bit on the table. So it's okay if not every single one goes through. All right.
Thanks, sir.
You bet. Thank you, Shawn. Okay, anybody else? Okay. All right, thank you everybody for dialing in. Oh, wait, sorry. Alan Dunn, must be a very fast typer. This we haven't asked for. Can we go to the outdoor seating restaurants that are opening back up? I think I put this in the, I'm not going to ban people from going and sitting outdoors. I think you need to be, not all outdoor seating is created equal. So, if you go there and it looks like the restaurant might be speeding a little bit, or I think someone was telling me about they were at an outdoor seating, but like the line for people to come into the outdoor seating was like at a fence right next to this chair. So yeah, this table is 6 feet from that table, but then there's a line of people sitting right here, like watching you and breathing on you. I think that's not it. I'd say use, if you're able to go to a restaurant, sit outside and cut off all paths, or at least, all reasonable paths to contracting the virus or breathing other people's droplets, then I'd say you're okay to go. So no, I don't have any outright bans on this stuff. I kind of want you to follow and respect the laws of your state and your localities, and then apply you know, does this make sense with the mission I do in the squadron I'm a part of? So, very long answer. Short answer is yes, you can. Okay. All right, everybody. That looks like it's it. Thank you very much for dialing in. I have some, you know, some more important, some important things I want to cover next week as we work towards that. And I'm sure I'll see some people around on Friday and Monday for testing. And until then, we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.